What I ate makes me bloated and tired. I had a lot of pasta, gluten and oily stuff. It had things that I didn't eat for a while, which is also good for my digestion, like mushrooms. What's this fungus they have, Candida, in the States? I saw in the news. I wonder if it's gonna get here. Of course it will, because supply chains help kill more people, of course. But also, it does give an advantage to the natural world to be more resilient, especially when it is implementing the natural world. Not consciously. It's just self-defense, right? It's just cybernetics. Let's call it eco-cybernetics. Ways to get rid of a dangerous species like the one I share DNA with. Okay, so these two codes is either there's a typo and it should be engine coolant temperature, which again there could be an issue with that because again I talked about my radiator cap not even being hot after a long trip, but my temperature being off to scale. But it could be, the computer gets screwed up by other things, so it could be that it's actually should be ACT for air, except that in the book it doesn't say ACT. I guess it says ICT for intake air temperature sensor. So I think it's probably it, because that area actually has that long cable I showed you that is corroded and not plugged into anything at this time, long enough to reach the belt. So it shouldn't go that way, it should go the other way. And so I'll look at that. I'll have to take everything off again here. Hopefully I'll have energy for that later, because it's way down there. And there's also another temperature sensor that is around there too. Well, it's the throttle body one. And again, I've been shooting oil in there because the springs that bring the throttle back are so corroded that my pedal got stuck sometimes, right? And so it could be the oil that I've been shooting, but it had the issues before. It could just be the corrosion, so I have to get in there more. And I have the little step bench that'll help me get higher, and I could even lift the hood a bit higher. I don't hit my head. And I'll do that later. And it could be that I'll be lucky enough that I don't need to change any thermostats or anything related to radiator. And I could even return things like the thermostat and the gasket and the radiator fluid and the pan to drain it in, etc., etc., to get a bit more money. But at least I'll know, and I'll know how to get it if it ever fails again, how to get the code. So if those two things related to throttle body and air intake are the simple solvable issues, then I might not even have to go back to town. I can do a different Canadian Tire when I dig up those receipts to return those things. Wouldn't that be sweet, getting all that money back? But wouldn't it have been horrible if I did trust a mechanical shop or stayed here longer, and then they're not necessarily, better problem solvers once I get to know I can't count on anybody. It has to be my job to be a mechanic and to be a doctor and to be a counselor, and I have to do everything myself. So, yeah, because then the place would say, oh, you're lucky we found it in such a short time. 2 hours to diagnose a problem, buddy. And I don't know why the mechanics said, oh, we never tested the codes or we can't find how to do it. I don't know if that's lying, because I would think, they would know this. Yeah, so again, there's very possibly a huge dishonesty, right? And then it creates these backlogs, because the dishonesty is often to hide the incompetence, and the incompetence creates the backlogs. And then it's like, there's more and more problems to solve on vehicles because mechanics worked on them. And so, yeah, is that what you guys want? Because then you get to sell more new stuff. No offense, but internal combustion engines like this aren't that complex compared to the electric cars you're going to be putting on the road, where when you lose those guys to fix it, you won't be able to do much yourselves. And if you are, it'll be easy to pass on that, oh no, it's not just a simple sensor of $10. Sir, this is like an electric car. That little piece, unless you're a really experienced electrician, you can make your own. We're selling to you $1,000. So, is that what's coming in the future? More scams related to transportation, which is at the root of North American cities, for example, that didn't start out like that. They started out tram systems, and it was going to be like more efficient public transits until the oil industry and the automobile industries and all the politicians that like this, that were bought by them, made these cities where you're suffocating, it's expensive for fuel, you're stuck in traffic, people are upset, and they can't even get your vehicles fixed now. And you can't even not be scammed buying a vehicle. And companies like frickin' Volkswagen don't go to jail. They actually get funding in Canada.